I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you about the tactics that highly successful individuals use to achieve their success. And it's a talk that wouldn't have been possible, like I said, without Chapman University and the Leadership Studies program. My background is in public relations, generally, crafting newsworthy stories for consumer product companies and booking regional and national media tours around their products and services. This eventually expanded into writing articles for various magazines, conducting investigative journalism for the Wall Street Journal, and over the last several years, writing biographical books on historically significant individuals from a variety of fields, including aviation, oil painting, immigration, and music. Each of the individuals featured in my books achieved a high level of success and made lasting contributions in their fields. And as one book led to another, I was really struck by the similarities between the individuals, not in their personality or temperament necessarily, but in the credos and the tactics that they used to get ahead. And this, of course, made me want to analyze them collectively to quantify the tactics they intuitively knew how to employ to achieve their success faster and more effectively than their peers and competitors. And guess what? The tactics they used are really simple. They're actually easy and enjoyable to adopt. So that's what we're going to be discussing today, so we can all benefit from their proven techniques. Oh, and one more thing, you will have found these cards in front of you that says not to open them for the time being. We're going to be using those to create a personalized roadmap for each of you on how you can use these tactics to start Skillapooping your own way to greater success. But for now, you can sit back and relax. I am going to acquaint you with our 3 Skillapooping mentors: aviation pioneer Dick Streeter, international oil painter Pauline Roche, and the iconic jazz composer Duke Ellington. So we have 3 impressive individuals, all from different fields, different genders, different skin tones, and different personalities. But all 3 of them had something very important in common that helped lead them to their success. And in short, they were really good at overcoming obstacles. Some small, some quite significant, which we'll talk about in just a few more moments. Every one of us, every single human being on the planet will not only encounter obstacles throughout our lives, will be bombarded by them, everyone. But at any rate, I'd like you to pull out your cards from the envelopes right now. And on line A, I would like you to write down an obstacle that you're currently facing that you'd like to overcome. It can be in your academic, your professional, your personal life, or a combination, any combination of just something simple that you're facing. And while you're doing that, I will tell you that there are actually 4 different types of obstacles that we can all face. So we have the wonderful and perpetual opportunities of facing 4 different types of obstacles: 2 types of movable obstacles and 2 types of immovable obstacles. Ellington summed up the ability to overcome all 4 of these obstacles with a single word of his own creation. He called it Skillapooping, and he defined it as the art of making what you're doing better than what you're supposed to be doing. The art of making what you're doing better than what you're supposed to be doing. It speaks to the power of refusing to let movable and immovable obstacles stand in your way. So let's pull our cards back out, and on line B, write down whether your obstacle is movable or immovable, and whether you can solve it for yourself, whether you need help, or a combination of the 2. So I think we can all agree that Dick, Duke, and Pauline were great Skillapoopers, and now you know the definition of that crazy word. So let's take a closer look at the 7 tactics they intuitively used to Skillapoop their way to success. They built careers around something they loved. They developed a credo that helped them stay the course. They set clear goals or intentions and remained focused on achieving them. And they utilized what made them unique, their weirdness, to create value as they marched and sometimes crawled to their goals. Oh, and don't worry, I did purposefully leave that last one blank because I'm building like excitement to keep you all waiting for a big reveal later on. Our Skillapooping mentors faced a barrage of obstacles, but they found ways to overcome them faster and more effectively than their peers and competitors by using these 7 Skillapooping tactics. And if they could do it, so can we. So let's pull our cards back out. And we will start personalizing your own roadmap using these tactics. On line 1, I'd like you to write down your passion, something that you enjoy doing, something you love, something that makes you feel good, something about which you enjoy learning. And keep it simple. We're really looking for a lane. Dick's passion was flying. Duke's passion was music. Pauline's was painting. Once you're in the right lane, there's a lot of different paths you can take, but at least you know you're in an area that you are interested in and energized by. So tactic number 1, incorporating passion and obsession, is something that all 3 of our mentors found a way to do, either in their personal or their professional lives or both. Dick discovered his passion for flying when he was 4. Pauline rediscovered her love of painting in her early 30s, and Dick discovered his love of jazz in his late 20s. Here are a couple of Duke Ellington quotes that speak to the power of choosing a career that you enjoy. And Duke Ellington had some great quotes, but he said, "Music, of course, is what I hear and something that I more or less live by. It's not an occupation or a profession, it's a compulsion." Or this gem, "You go home expecting to go right to bed, but then on the way, you go past the piano and there's a flirtation. It flirts with you." So what's so important about incorporating passion and obsession in what you do? Well, first of all, it's a heck of a lot easier to do something, put in all the hard work and hours into something that you like and enjoy. And as we all have heard, it requires 10,000 hours to become an expert in any field, so you might as well enjoy working towards those 10,000 hours. And secondly, it fills us up. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because I have a little demonstration to show you that you can share with your friends and family tonight. Now, I need you to use your imagination that this pitcher of blue water represents your personal supply of energy at any given time. Every time you work towards an intention or around an obstacle, you expend some of this energy. When you study for an exam, when you balance your part-time job with your academics, when you maintain your personal and professional relationships, and when you eventually send out your resumes and go on interviews to land that perfect college job, after college job. And that's a big pour. It takes a lot of energy. But look what happens to your pitcher of energy. It gets depleted. And if you don't find ways to fill it back up, your pitchers will eventually be empty, and you'll have no more energy to pour into your Skillapooping tactics, right? So how does our pitcher get refilled? Well, external things can refill it. I need you to use your imagination and imagine that water's being poured back into your pitcher for each of these. So when you complete a goal, like getting accepted into Chapman University, that feels pretty good, right? Or receiving praise and acknowledgement for something you've done well. That always puts a spring in my step for sure. Or enjoying the camaraderie and support of your friends and classmates, another plus. And the huge pitcher refiller, landing the perfect after college job, which will actually fill 3 pitchers, yours, your mom's, and your dad's, I guarantee it. But as we all know, these things, while these things are great, they just don't happen as frequently as we might like or need to keep our pitchers filled. But when you incorporate something that you love into your life and into your work, it gives back energy to you on a much more consistent basis. Doing something you're passionate about or obsessed with inherently refills your pitcher. Remember, Duke, Dick, and Pauline faced a ton of obstacles throughout their careers, but they found ways to overcome them while still keeping water in their pitcher, and by using a few more of the Skillapooping techniques. They developed a credo. A credo is a statement of beliefs or aims that guides your actions. It's like a personal mission statement or a litmus test against which we can measure whether our choices are taking us closer to what we ultimately want to achieve or farther away. Dick's credo was to make flying a central element in his life. Pauline's is to express her creativity as a skilled oil painter. And Duke's was to create, perform, and change perceptions through his unique interpretation of jazz. So on line 2 of your cards, take a quick stab at writing your credo. It's all about infusing more of what your passion or obsession was into your personal life. Skillapooping tactic number 3 is intentions. Our 3 amigos set clear intentions that illuminated the most direct path to their goal. And here's the pop quiz. So they didn't waste energy in their pitchers. That's right. All right, y'all get gold stars. Thank you. And keep in mind that our intentions can, should, and will change over time. Pauline's intentions changed from honing her skills to painting all subject matter to entering juried competitions and having prestigious galleries represent her work. And Pauline made the following statement about the importance of setting intentions. She said, "I find that the more I identify, clarify, and even verbalize for myself exactly what has captured my interest or what I want to achieve, the more I can keep my painting on track toward my ultimate objective." And that same thing is true for any of your intentions. The more you can define it, identify it, the more apt you are to achieve it and understand what it takes to get there. So on line 3 of your card, I'd like you to write down one thing you can do, maybe even tomorrow or next week, one small intention that will help you overcome the obstacle that you wrote on line A. If you have an immovable obstacle of your choosing, like Pauline and her timing, your intention may be to continue chipping away at it as you wait. If you have an immovable obstacle not of your choice, like Duke Ellington with racism and ignorance, your only viable intention may be to continue planting seeds that may ultimately germinate and change things in the future. All right, let's flip our cards over, please. We'll go on to Skillapooping tactic number 4. On line 4, you'll see the word focus. You won't need to write anything else here. Just know that highly successful people work with great focus toward each of their goals and intentions. And if I can give you a quick example, Dick Streeter knew that in order to become a naval pilot, he had to have a college degree. But his father owned a grocery store and was mad. He wanted him to quit high school and work in the grocery store. But Dick couldn't do that. He wanted to be a pilot. So he got kicked out of the house. He got 2 jobs. He put himself through college living in a 1-room apartment with no heat, no electricity, and no indoor plumbing for 4 years to get that degree, to get his pilot's license. And so you may have to do things that you don't like, that aren't fun, but if it's working towards a goal that really, lights your fire, then it's a good motivator. That's why passion is so important. Let's talk a little bit about the next Skillapooping tactic, which is embracing your weirdness. Now, this is probably one of my favorite here, because what makes you different from everyone else is often a great asset. Because sometimes what others perceive as weirdness or weakness is actually a strength. Once again, Duke Ellington summed this up very cleverly, cautioning people to be the number 1 you and not the number 2 somebody else. What's your weirdness? Think about it. So on line 5B, we're going to bring your weirdness out of its cage and name it. So that's what I want you to do. What is your weirdness? Something that maybe you're self-conscious about, you do differently, that really may be one of your greatest strengths. And that brings us to our 6th Skillapooping tactic on line 6, creating value. No need to do anything else here. Just remember that successful individuals learn how to harness and embrace their unique strengths or weirdness to create something of value. And here's the beauty of embracing your weirdness. We all mature and improve over time, but it is virtually impossible and quite frankly exhausting to try to be someone or something we are not. When you expend energy to conceal your true selves, you not only waste precious resources, you potentially miss out on a competitive advantage. Better to create a future for yourself in the same way that Duke Ellington wrote music for the weirdness of his musicians, by recognizing your unique talents and strengths and building a future that allows you to showcase them and not hide them. Which brings us to my big reveal on number 7. I've been waiting for this. Dick, Duke, and Pauline all eventually championed a higher purpose. Why? Because it aligned with their credos. It felt good to give back. And it did what? It refilled their pitchers. Dick advanced the design of competitive sailplanes. He worked to make the sport safer, and he strived to make competitive gliders affordable through kit production. Pauline developed innovative, extremely intelligent images with multiple levels of artistic voyeurism. Brilliant. Duke elevated American jazz on par with classical European music. He celebrated the history, culture, and contributions of African Americans while simultaneously challenging America to live up to her founding principles of freedom and equality for all. Higher purposes often reveal themselves over time, so it's okay to leave this line blank for now, but I invite you to dream about what your higher purpose may ultimately be. And those, my friends, are the 7 proven Skillapooping tactics for Skillapooping your way to success. And I hope the information I provided today gives you some food for thought, something to discuss at dinner tonight, or maybe at the very least, an amazing picture performance to show your friends and family. But if you're interested in taking it a bit farther, I challenge each of you to think about incorporating some or all of the Skillapooping tactics using the same approach that Pauline Roche uses when she steps in front of each new blank canvas. She describes it as follows. By gently and softly massing in the simplified image, reducing all its complexities to a few monochrome values, I can in a way sneak up on the accuracy as I go. For me, this approach is much more manageable than attempting to create a complete, accurate drawing from the beginning. No one that sets out to do something does it perfectly. But sometimes you just have to go out and do. And when you do, you learn. And when you fail, you learn. And when you get around an obstacle, your picture gets refilled, and you continue the process, and you do it over and over until you become an expert. And if you've found something you're passionate about, you enjoy the process. And when we slowly incorporate some or all of our Skillapooping tactics, we'll be creating a life that is satisfying, renewing, and with the greatest potential for success, while creating and leaving something of value behind. And when intentions align with natural gifts, startling things happen. The beauty being that even if one's ultimate goal is never achieved, the journey is enjoyed and the world is inched forward. Duke Ellington enjoyed his life immensely, but he failed to achieve his greatest intentions, the elimination of racism. In closing, here's a short but powerful article from the Washington Post, written in 1989, that illustrates the power of Skillapooping and why we can never underestimate the impact that our most valiant and sometimes failed efforts may have on those around us. 14-year-old Stanley Nelson witnessed a group of black men stepping off the train in Union Station in the 1930s, elegantly dressed, commanding attention with their strides. I had never seen a group of black men so proud and magnificent in their presentation, recalls Nelson, later a dentist in New York. It wasn't just the clothes, it was the way they wore them. The men were Duke Ellington and his orchestra. At a time when stereotypes reigned as truth, when whites perpetuated the image of black men as shuffling, singing, backbent men, there was Ellington. He shattered stereotypes. He wore none of their myths. He composed music that defied definition in its range: jazz, symphonic score, sacred music. I was young and impressionable, and I'll never forget that moment. It was in my bone marrow after that a black man could have that kind of respect and be that magnificent. So, thank you so much. Thank you very much.